All right, today is October 16th, 2022. This is my 1985 CJ7 that I'm still in the process of restoring, not to total OEM specs, but to my liking anyway. So what we're getting ready to do now is to remove the AMC 20 rear axle because I have to rebuild it. I've got some bearing noise going on. I've got excessive backlash in the between the ring and pinion, I can tell. So what I'm going to do is teach both my boys and let them do this work on account of my back. So I'm going to lead them through the whole process of lifting the Jeep, blocking the tire, lifting the Jeep, and removing the axle. But I'm going to let them turn all the wrenches and do all the grunt work, knuckle busting. So at that point, I'll have them carry it up to the shop and put it on jack stands and proceed with the disassembly process. Now this, what I'm going to do, in addition to rebuilding the axle, I'm going to change the gearing from, according to the stamped letter, I believe it's a B on the differential next to the pumpkin cover, which means it's a 331. I'm going to change it to a 410, have better pulling power because I do use a utility trailer. And I'm also going to put a heavier axle, one-piece axles in it. So instead of the two-piece axle that's the weak point of the AMC 20, I'm going to put in G2s. That's the brand G2 solid axles. So as well as all new bearings and stuff. While I'm in there, I'm going to replace the brakes, the brake pads and wheel cylinders, and all of that, because that's pennies on the dollar, and it's going to need to be done eventually anyway. So, and probably I might replace the brake lines up to the front if needed. If they look like they're okay, I'm not going to mess with them, but I probably will replace the one that's going across the axle simply because I'm going to remove it, and unless it's okay too, if I can remove it without messing it up, then I'll reuse it. So, all right, here we go. Here's one of my happy apprentices. He's going to begin the process of taking this axle out. So Coleman, the first thing we got to do is block the front tire. There's a block in the front over there. Put a block in front of the tire. All right, and now take the floor jack and put it underneath the big round thing underneath the axle. It's called the pumpkin. Yeah.
The round thing.
The round thing, yeah.
The very bottom.
Yeah, right in the middle. Because you're going to lift the Jeep up off the ground. Get it centered on it. Okay, now move your handle over to the left, or to your, well, I guess it doesn't matter. All right, now, before you get it all the way up off the ground, we're going to loosen the lug nuts on the tires, on the wheels, okay? So that, oh, you're already off the ground. That's probably okay, though. All right, so get the impact wrench out of the toolbox over there.
Which one?
Middle drawer, top.
This one?
Yep, top middle drawer. No, I'm sorry, it's the bottom. Okay. And then air hose. You need air hose. We'll get with you guys here in a little bit. And now he's placing the jack stands forward of the spring perch, making sure they're centered on the frame, and then slowly let it down. Okay, see that? Now, you got to be able to spin both tires. If you can spin both tires, you're taking all the weight off of it. Okay, check the other one. Looks like it's spinning, so I think we're good. All right, take the wheels off. All right, just kind of set it aside. All right, now let me learn you something here. You're fine there. That's good. All right, so this right here is called a brake drum. Inside there are brake pads, right? And they push out against this. That's what stops the vehicle in the back. The front's different. It's called disc, but this is a leaf spring shackle. That's a leaf spring perch. This is the leaf spring. This is the actual part that holds the vehicle up, and then the shock absorbs the up and down motion, right? So that's the gas tank. So yeah, you got to pull the wheel off over on this side. Okay, Coleman. So this process will be pretty easy, all right? The first thing we're gonna do is there's a nut on the other side of that shock where it mounts to the spring bracket. You're gonna take the shocks loose, then you're gonna take two nuts on this U-bolt, 2 on that, and that's gonna loosen the bottom of the leaf spring. But we also have to take it loose, 1 bolt out of the eye of that shackle, so that the whole leaf spring will just go wonk down. At that point, we need to take the drive shaft loose, which will be right there in front. That's called the pinion right there. We'll have to take it loose, and then the brake line, which is right here, we'll have to take the brake line loose and the emergency brake cable loose on both sides. And at that point, it's ready to pull out. Pretty easy, huh?
And then we're done.
Yeah, I just have to have you and Carter carry it up to the shop for me so I can work on it there.
All right.
So first thing I would do is take the shocks loose. You'll see the nut on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Okay, take that loose. Be careful when you're taking a nut loose to just do a little, like, pulse the gun instead of keeping the trigger on.
Yeah.
Coleman's taking the drive shaft loose, aren't you, Coleman? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Are you having fun yet, Coleman?
A lot.
Good. Here's my other little apprentice that's come out to join us. What's your name, little apprentice?
I forgot.
Right.
Here's your bolts.
You got 2 of them out?
1.
Okay. Coleman, how you doing under there? You having fun yet? Huh? Right. Coleman is now taking the brake line loose off of the back side of the wheel cylinder. So we got to pull those loose on both sides, and then there's a junction box right there that has to come off. That rubber tube goes up to a junction point up by the gas tank, but we're not going to take it loose there. All right, good. Now give Carter the wrench and let him do the other side. Carter, come get the wrench. Here we got Carter taking off the driver's side, the brake line that goes into the wheel cylinder. Right, Katie?
No.
Right. Okay, what we're doing now is taking the U-bolts loose on the axle. We've got the floor jack underneath the axle, just barely kissing it there at the pumpkin, so it's supporting the weight. We got the brake line completely loose. Okay, now the last step will be to take it loose from the rear shackle right there, that bottom bolt on both sides, and this thing will be ready to come out. Oh, no, we have one more thing. You have to take the emergency brake loose. Be careful. You should be using a wrench on that.
I need a wrench on the other side.
Okay, let me see if that's the right size, Coleman.
It is the right size.
Sure?
Yeah.
All right, what size is it?
3/4.
You can't let go of it, car, because it's going to slip back. This is the driver's side. We got the brake drum off. So there's a lot of parts here. Just as a side note, when I was a senior in high school, my auto mechanics teacher, Mr. Mazzoli, had me do brake jobs on cars that had drum brakes like this. And he had me do them over and over again. I had it to the point where I could take all of this stuff off, put it back on inside of 2 minutes. Because he had me doing it over and over again. It actually made me mad because he wasn't letting me move on to some other things. But anyway, little side story there. All right, I'm gonna get some pictures of this. All right, well, we got it out of there. Hindsight's 20/20, but I should have taken the emergency brake cables loose first. There it is. Because I was able to get it loose on this side. It was hard to get the drum off because it was hung up on the brake pads, but didn't get this one off because by the time we got everything disconnected, the axle was basically almost on the floor. So rather than to mess with it, I just went ahead and cut it off. And that's okay though, because I was going to replace these anyway. It's a two-piece deal. They meet at a junction point back there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's two cables, there's a splitter. It splits right there with a junction point and comes over to the right side and to the left side of the vehicle. So I definitely want to get new ones of those anyway, so they're working properly. I think the brake line is going to be okay. I could replace it, but I don't see anything wrong with it. I'll just clean it up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing at this point, because I don't need to spend money where it's not necessary. And not to mention, it's going to be a somewhat of a challenge to get that off up there. Probably. Definitely don't want to do that with my back. Would have to have Coleman do it or something. So I just left everything intact there. I'm going to clean up that brake line and reuse it. It's already form fitted for the axle, so I don't have to worry about any fitment issues there. So unless I find that it's rusting through, rusted badly, which it doesn't look like it is actually. So I'll go up to the shop and show you what I got. Side note here, was able to use the tractor to carry the axle up in that bucket. So up into the shop, and the boys hefted it in here for me. So they were grunting, not having fun, but there it is. So I've got a build, saw a guy on YouTube that I followed that kind of inspired me to do this actually. The You Can Do It site. I forgot his name, but he's a real nice guy. And I saw where he had made a 2x4, bracketry, or not bracketry, but a holder. And that's what I'm gonna do there. Definitely got the wood equipment to do that. So I'm gonna make a holder there so I can, so this thing will be more stable. Not the best jack stands in the world, just because the base, the bases of them aren't that large, but I had to use the heavier duty ones in the garage to hold the Jeep body up. So anyway, this is going to be the start of it. So first thing I'll have to do is get this drum off as well, and have to work that thing off there. I'm sure it's going to be a bear, just like the other one. And then just start pulling it apart. I guess I'll probably, I might pull this cover off first, drain the oil out of it. I do have a bolt here that is stripped out. So I'll probably have to cut the head of it off, and any of the others that don't want to come out of there. But you know, get the gears out, get the axles out, all of that stuff, and clean it up. I might actually clean it first and paint it, because while I could sandblast it down like the You Can Do It guy did, I'm not that motivated to do that. I think I'll just clean it up, and unless it's just too difficult to do, and then paint it, prime and paint it. So I don't know, I might change my mind on that. Problem with sandblasting it is I've got a large sandblaster over at a friend's house, but it really requires more output PSI, or, you know, CFM than I've got here. I could get a smaller one at Harbor Freight and do it, but learning what I did on the 66 restoration, sandblasting is a mess. And, you know, I'd have to do it out in the yard and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'm talking myself out of it as I speak, but I'm going to clean this up with the manual method of a wire brush, brake cleaner and whatnot, to get it as clean as I can, and paint it, and I'll be done with it. So, all right, we'll catch you guys next time.